match day 24. Man, we are already well beyond, at least in theory, the halfway point of the season. Leagues Cup just around the corner. A ton of games that a lot of teams have to get through in July, which means this is a very weird week. This is actually the first of two videos coming to the Goals TV channel this week. Match day 24 covering Wednesday and Thursday matches, and then we have match day 25 for Saturday and Sunday. A banging week for MLS fans. And we're not going to waste any more time. As usual, I'm joined by a great cast and crew. We have Riley from First Touch Media. We have AJ from Atlanta United Fan TV. And then we have Davi from the Blue Burrows podcast. Look, guys, I'm so pumped for today's show. Midweek matches always throw us on this channel for a loop. I think our record is like not dismal, but it's not the best when it comes to midweek matchups. Hopefully we break some of that curse today on today's episode. So let's go ahead and dive in, lads. We have, for those who are new to the show, we have 5 in-depth previews to go through and then quick fire predictions at the very end. Let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right in. The first one we have on the docket for tomorrow's slate of matches, or if you're watching this when it's published, today's slate of matches, we have an Eastern Conference showdown between top 6 sides, Charlotte and Inter Miami, man. And you know what, man? In a normal season with Charlotte, this match wouldn't draw me in as much, but Dean Smith's got the lads moving, man. He's got them moving. Charlotte right now, 32 points, 6th in the East. They did lose a nail-biter to Houston this past weekend. And then, of course, you have Miami still pulling in results despite some of the players that they're missing. Top of the East, a comeback 2-1 win over Nashville. Guys, how do we feel about this one, man? Charlotte at home, at the bank. It's a hard place to go and net a result. They have a ton of clean sheets there. We'll start with AJ because this is your conference through and through, man, as well as Davi. AJ, how do you feel about Charlotte's chances against this version of Miami?
I mean, this is their best chance, I think, in any year to do anything. But yeah, I think Inter Miami still ultimately have the goods because the class just is permanent. And, you know, Jordi Alba, I mean, scoring that ridiculous banger. Man. Yeah, it's just, I mean, you know, the cast that Inter Miami has, even without Messi, is just ridiculous still. So, yeah it's, I don't know. I don't know if Charlotte can get a W, but I think they can get a result. But I think it's probably still Inter Miami.
Yeah, bro, that goal, by the way, I don't know about you guys, but anybody who watched vintage Barcelona back in the day, it took me back, bro. I almost got emotional seeing the kick. I'm not even gonna lie. It felt very like, God, just take me back, bro. 2015 Barca. What I would give for that to be a reality. But yeah, man. I mean, look, I agree with you. I think Miami have proven and debunked the theory of no Messi, no party, right? Like they don't necessarily need him to pull out results. Tata Martino is doing God's work as far as Inter Miami fans go. Davi, I know you watch a lot of Eastern Conference ball. How you feel about this one?
I mean, first and foremost, it would be nice to see Miami lose. Just keep winning, man. They just keep winning. I mean, I think Tata Martino has proven that he's a really good coach when it comes to MLS, and you know, when it comes to managing these games. You know, even without superstars. I mean, he did it in Atlanta with, you know, AJ knows that pretty well. You know, the first 2 years were absolutely magical, and then they've just been on a steady decline ever since. So I just to put it frank, but yeah, it's the truth. But I mean, last year I know with NYCFC we had a bad year with Nick Cushing, and you know, everyone was calling for his head, everyone was calling for his firing, much like we're calling for another bald guy that coaches in the U.S. But Tata Martino was like one of the 3 managers that we ideally replaced him with. It was either him, Dome, or Des Buckingham, who was at the time coaching at Mumbai City, for fellow CFG affiliate club. But you know, we just looked at his track record with Atlanta. You know, he made Atlanta a pretty good team in the first year. In 2017, made the playoffs. You know, got knocked out by Columbus Crew, who ended up making a deep run. And then the second year, just to go out and win it, just to get a couple signings and then just go out and win it, and then bows out a champion with Miggy and goes off to Mexico.
He had some ballers, bro. He had some ballers on that team. Let's not get all to Tata. He had some ballers on that Atlanta team.
Get Prime Martinez and Prime Almiron, so let's not like.
Yeah.
But still, I think just the fact that he was able to get the best out of Martinez, and then Martinez wasn't really the same since, just speaks to his wonder and how good of MLS head coach he is. You know, he obviously had that infamous season with Barcelona. He had a stint with Paraguay and Argentina. And then, you know, the most infamous one out of all is Mexico. You know, that one's still fresh in our heads.
We're not going to talk about that one. That one's, we move on. We
now, and now he's at Inter Miami just to work with Messi and Suarez, and he doesn't even have those guys. He's still got Busquets and like Jordi Alba, but some of these academy kids from Miami are pretty good as well. You know, Ben Cramache being the top one that comes to everyone's head. And to get a kid like I believe Frey was his name, 2 ACLs, and he comes back and scores a goal, and then Jordi Alba just scores an absolute banger of a volley outside the box. Just speaks wonders of what kind of a manager he is in this league. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Miami pull out another W, but it would be nice to see him lose.
They are ranked the second best team in the league away from home, something to note. But at the same time, they're prone to goals. And I'm not saying Charlotte's a scoring machine by any means, right? But they're prone to goals. They haven't kept a clean sheet in the last 6. And I agree with AJ. If there was ever an opportunity for Charlotte to take this game by the scruff of its neck, for Dean Smith to instill some motivation and try and pull off an upset here, because even without Messi and Suarez, this would still be an upset. Wouldn't you agree, Riley? Like, this would still be a pretty big win for Charlotte if they could get it.
It would be a big win. And I mean, I do kind of bank on what you had said about the bank in general. I mean, Charlotte are a very good home side this year. And I mean, like it or not, a Messi-less team is a Messi-less team. And Charlotte have shown this season that they can lock up from the back, and they've shown that they leak a decent amount of goals from the back. I do see this as a big opportunity for Charlotte to get something done at home. Yeah. Instill some fire in the Charlotte side.
Ooh, I got a fiery prediction then. I think I know Miami's on a 3-game win streak. They've taken points 4 out of the last 5. I think it might end here. I think Charlotte might get the dub. I think the fact that Charlotte hasn't lost at the bank in like 6 or 7 games now, it gives me a feeling of, and I gotta imagine Miami's gonna rotate at least a little bit in a midweek game. It's a big July for everybody, but leading up to Leagues Cup, I have to feel like some of these inexperienced players who've been taking the reins from some of the missing top talent just need a little bit of rotation. So I'm going to back Charlotte through and through. I think it's going to be close and not even a high scoring game. I really think I don't want to say 1-0 because Miami will score. I'm going to say 2-1. 2-1 Charlotte FC. How do you guys see it?
Well,
Charlotte.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's also that too, though. Like Charlotte will also probably have to rotate too. So it's each team has to tactic. Each team has to do what they have to do for the best health of the team, and to really manage the schedule. And ultimately, just Inter Miami have just too many goods. So I think it's the other way. I think it's 2-1 Inter Miami.
Ooh, okay. I think Nashville could have had him, man. Like I really do. I think they better defense, better just decision making at times. They could have walked away with something from that game. But I respect it, AJ. Riley, how you see it?
I honestly was thinking 1-0 for Charlotte.
Imagine them shutting out Miami.
It would be so big for them to get that done. I'm gonna roll with 1-0, even though I can't see a world where Miami doesn't score 1. I do have a feeling Charlotte are gonna walk away with a W.
Yeah, Davi, same for you.
Miami has 20 goals on the road this season, but Charlotte as well at home. They've only conceded 8 times, but they've only scored 13 goals, and they're the third best home team in the Eastern Conference, only behind New Jersey and New York City.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna go. It's kind of tough to call, but I think I'm gonna go 1-0 Charlotte. I think they shut them out.
AJ the black sheep. Interesting. We'll see how it all works out. He might be the prophet here. I don't really know. I think we're all kind of just hoping Miami maybe loses this game, but at the same time, I want to see Charlotte just prove the haters wrong. I think that's what it is. There were even some of those haters on this show to start the season off, not believing in Dean Smith. I kind of just want to see them get a big result, and whatever follows from there, I'll be all aboard that hype train. So we'll find out. We'll see.
You can throw me in there with the haters because they beat NYCFC every time. So,
and that's what's interesting. I'm not a hater of Dean Smith. I called that he would be good for Charlotte, but this is the thing. It's just Inter Miami are just a machine, and it's difficult to beat a machine.
Imagine when they start trying. I say that like they're not trying, but imagine when they start trying, like in playoffs. Like, good Lord, man. I don't know. I don't know even know what to expect. Like, I really think. And this could be going way out on a limb. Everyone's talking about Ballon d'Or shouts with the Euros and the Copa going on. I think Messi could win his 9th if he takes home MLS and Copa America in the same year. I think that there's a massive, massive shout for the Ballon d'Or to stay in MLS, which would be crazy to retain that infamous trophy at a solo level.
International fans would never allow it to happen. Oh my God, we would be crucified.
But we would be so petty, and we would absolutely fucking own the internet.
We could rub that in the face of the Madridistas.
Oh man, it would be insane, bro. I will be there no matter what. But again, we'll find out what happens there. But again, I think most of us had Charlotte winning outside of AJ. All right, let's move on to our second preview. NYCFC hosting Montreal. NYCFC having a good season, man. Top 5 in the East, coming off that 4-2 win over Orlando. Montreal surprising a lot of folks this past weekend. I know Philadelphia is in a really weird spot. I will throw that context in there. But it's still Montreal taking down Jim Curtin's men comprehensively 4-2 at home. They sit right outside that playoff line. Davi, talk to me, bro. I mean, just focusing specifically on this matchup and what you're looking for with Montreal. What do you see?
I don't want to sound cocky, but I think we should easily handle these boys. We've only lost them twice in like, what was it, 18, 20 games? So we played them. We've won 12 times. So we've only lost twice to these guys in our entire history. We freaking own these guys, man. Like in the full sense of the word. In the full sense of the word, we own these guys. I expect nothing but a New York City dominant performance back in Queens, back in the World's Borough. Day before 4th of July. I'm hype. Everyone's hype. We just came off an impressive win over Orlando, even though we had some defensive hiccups.
That was a good game. That was a good game. You left it late, but that was a good game.
Yeah. Even freaking Bakar came off the bench and scored. Bakar of all players. I mean, that's insane to me. I freaking hate the dude. I hate Bakar. I think every time we play him, it's just like I just get a headache every time, and I feel like he's a little burden on the team whenever he's out there on the pitch. But my God, even though as a Bakar, I can't deny that goal was amazing.
I agree with you. I think to an extent, I know Montreal, they haven't won an away match which is really weird because they started the season so hot on the road. Like, to go and take down 2 or 3 playoff teams to kick off 2024 on the road was massive. One of those being Miami. Crazy, right? And then since then, they're on this 9-game losing streak away, which says everything you need to say. But I will say this, man, MLS has this really weird thing, I don't know, in midweek games where every team is thrown for a loop. And I don't know if this is a trap game per se. I agree with you. I think NYCFC should absolutely win this game. But let's go over to Riley really quick. Riley, do you see any kind of hope for Montreal whatsoever, just given that it's a midweek matchup prior to 4th of July?
Man, you'd be hard pressed to find anybody backing Montreal in this matchup. I went and looked at their all-time stats, and New York just owns this matchup through and through. Like you were talking about earlier, in the whole Canada thing, I still struggle to follow Canada, even though they might be our superiors now that they made it out of Copa America. So maybe I need to start paying a little more attention to what's going on with our neighbors up north. But I mean, it's even though it's midweek matchup, I still think New York City at home are gonna dominate Montreal.
Yeah, I kind of think so too. And AJ, I'm willing to bet you agree, man, to an extent. I think the baseball field, home field advantage is going to be massive for them. But on top of that, right, I mean, you look at the last, let's say, 6 meetings, it's been 5 wins and a draw for New York City FC.
Just make it more American on a baseball field, right? Just make it more American.
True.
Yeah.
AJ, how you see it going?
Yeah, I mean, it's just this, CF Montreal, they concede so many goals, and it's just really, really difficult for them to keep the ball at the back of the net. And, if history serves, I mean, it's just going to be kind of ugly. But I don't know. I hold out some hope here because Jose Martinez just scored, and he scores in bunches when he scores. So it's one of these things I feel like they might be able to eke out a result, but it's definitely not CF Montreal winning. But I think there might be a point.
Yeah, point's a point, bro. And that would, and I still think, I don't know, Davi, how you would feel about a draw if you would consider that an L. I don't think so at this point of the season. I think you guys are probably going to be for sure a playoff team. I think a point's a point. Even if it's at home, it can sometimes feel like it was points lost versus points won. But I kind of agree with AJ. There's going to be some rotation in this game. If Jose Martinez gets off to an early start, maybe we see some rumblings of previous versions of Martinez, right? And maybe that inspires Montreal to some kind of a result here. I want to go as far as saying maybe a cheeky 1-1. That would be a crazy result for Montreal because I think they're averaging 2.2 goals against them per game this season so far. So it would be wild. It would be wild.
It's probably more like 2-2, I would say, because they've got to get scored on twice.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, so we I think me and AJ are on the same page here. Davi, I know you're backing your boys, but what's the scoreline?
It's going to be 3-4-1.
Woo, a shellacking. All right. I mean, if that happened, it would surprise me.
I could even see a 3-4-0, but we have so many problems just keeping clean sheets lately, and just I don't know that. Then Matt Freese not being in the All-Star game just the whole fan base is kind of puzzled about that. But Martinez made it in, so we got some representation. That's our captain. So I mean, I guess it's not all doom and gloom, but I mean, if we keep a clean sheet, that would be amazing for Matt Freese. But
Yeah,
I just don't see it. Maybe, I mean, it might come off like a lucky deflection, or might be a poacher's goal that we can concede, or off a set piece. But I think the baseball field will just and just being at home, and the New York faithful are just going to do it. I expect nothing but a dominant performance in these 3 points.
yeah. New York City have not kept a clean sheet in the last 5. Something worth note. Riley, you're back at NYCFC as well.
Yeah, give me New York. Give me maybe this will be a shootout. I'll say like 3-2. I'll say it'll be tight, but it'll be lots of goals. I think it'll.
I will take
Baccarat score again.
The game winner this time, maybe. Yeah,
and he better hit the Suey. He better hit the Suey.
I will take a cheeky 3-2, 5-goal thriller up in Queens all day, every day, 100%. But if it is 2-2, I feel like me and AJ kind of win that one, obviously. Yeah, we'll see, man. I think this game's going to be fire. You mentioned that Matt Freese All-Star comment. I don't know how much of that lives in his mind. I will say this, though, lads. The one fan voted in keeper was Martin Paz. God, that feels good, man. Our only All-Star. I'll take it.
It's an injustice.
He does have the most total saves in all of MLS. You got to give him credit, man. I mean, our defense has been interesting, and he's bailed them out more than a few times. Riley remembers one very recently, specifically. So
don't do that to
me. Yeah, man, it's kind of wild. But with that said, that's how we see this match going. We'll move on to the Revs hosting Atlanta United. Revs obviously started off, I mean, probably the worst possible way you could start a season, but are on a little bit of an up and up, right? They did lose last week to Columbus. I mean, it's Columbus. Class shines through and through always from their perspective. But prior to that, 4 straight wins for the Revs. So an interesting time for them. And then you have Atlanta United going through a very interesting transitional period, right? Coming off that 2-1 win over Toronto. But now you have the Almada deal happening. You have Caleb Wiley rumored to be leaving soon. AJ, it's an interesting time for the club, considering that Pineda was also, kind of forced to walk the plank not too long ago. How do you feel going into this game that some might consider a trap game?
I mean, is it really trap when everyone is pretty much kind of garbage or mediocre? I mean, it's just like, to a degree, sure. If you look at the placings in the standings, but it's for Atlanta, Almada, yes, he's already in John Texter's house and doing lives. He's gone. It's just not announced yet. You also have Jamal Tiare, who scored that ridiculous goal at the death where he sneakily gets it off the hands of the keeper, but he is injured now 2 to 4 weeks. Wow. So yeah, we only have one striker on the roster right now, and because Yakumaki is of course also gone. We're going to be severely lacking some firepower, but I have a feeling that it's also because Carlos Heel also not available for the Revolution. I think there's still some goals. I think there's still some action in this one, but it's just a matter of how much of that is going to be interesting. that will be, I think, of note. But I think for Atlanta United, this is a tough away match for us in the wake of Almada leaving. But I think we have some momentum on our side for undefeated, the new interim head coach bump that we are getting with Rob Valentino. The luck is definitely on our side. VAR calls definitely are a little bit more fortuitous. We got the however, which kind of made its way around the league, and I think there's a however here too, where yes, it will be probably a result at least for both sides, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. In fact, you mentioned about the whole the new manager bounce and the recent results that stem from that. Unbeaten in the last 4, great. I would unbeaten the last 5 away matches as well. Which if anyone in the audience has been following Atlanta United over the last let's say 18 to 24 months, away form even with the likes of Almada and Yakumakis wasn't always a guarantee. It wasn't always there. That was always kind of the criticism. Yeah. I mean, I was trying to be nice about it, but yeah. I think that that was the area of opportunity, I should say, for improvement. And again, some of that can be new manager bounce, but I think there was even that first away win that came off Pineda was still there. So
Miami,
yeah. So there's still it's kind of interesting, right? Without some of your prolific, almost talisman-like pieces, you're still finding a way to get results. There are some pieces missing for this one. I think it's gonna be a good game. I mean, New England's they're such an unpredictable team, man. Like I don't know what to do about this Rev side. They scored 9 goals in the last 5 when they couldn't buy a goal to start the first month or two of the season. It just goes to show you that MLS is, unpredictable as always. Let's go over to Davi, man. Davi, how do you see this one going?
It's an interesting matchup, because the Rebs, they have four wins out of the last 5 games. They got destroyed by Columbus, but I mean, Columbus are a really good team. They've shown it throughout the CONCACAF Champions Cup. The campaign, unfortunate way to end that one, but I mean, it's a Wilfried Nancy side, and he's really good. He's a really good manager. He saw it up in Montreal, and then he gets booted out the town, and then the first season down in Columbus, he gets a cup. So, and they also have some really good players. New England, they've gone on a hot streak here. They played well against NYCFC, even though the scoreline doesn't suggest it. I watched the whole game, and trust me, from watching that game, I just felt like we were. It was going to be us that let's up the goal, and Keaton Parks thankfully gets on the end of a beautiful cross, and we were able to escape Foxborough with a 1-0 win. But I mean, after that, they went to Nashville, they beat them, they beat the Red Bulls, they beat Vancouver, and then they beat Cincinnati of all teams away from home. That's not an easy task, and that's nothing to sneeze at or anything. That's a genuinely impressive result to go over to Cincinnati, get a 2-1 win, especially with the way that you started off the season. I think there was only like 1 or 2 wins, and I think
that one was super impressive. I'll be honest. Like that one with where Cincy is today, like and how good they've been defensively, I was surprised they were able to net out a couple goals on the road.
Yeah, I remember. I think up to the point where I think just before they started winning against NYCFC, I think they've only scored like 7 to 9 goals. I think they were still in the single digits when we went up to Foxborough and we beat them. But now they've scored a lot of goals.
They doubled their tally. Yeah,
they doubled their tally, and they're on a hot streak right now. Even though the last game doesn't suggest it, But on the flip side, Atlanta, it's kind of a little bit of a roller coaster. I'm looking at their past 5 games. They got rid of the coach Gonzalo Pineda, which I know that the fans down there, they've been calling for his head for a long time now, and that now they finally got their wish.
AJ included.
Yeah, they finally.
Yeah.
It may, to them it may be a little bit too late, but better late than never, I guess. And then they just started, they're undefeated ever since they fired Pineda. A draw with Houston, a road win against DC, a draw against St. Louis, and then they beat Toronto, and with that incredible
epic
goal,
fashion.
Epic fashion. Yeah, and I mean, I think that goal should count. And I saw Jeff Anello on Twitter. He's like, "Oh, that goal should be illegal." And then I see someone is like, "Oh, maybe you should just check over your shoulder and see that if someone's behind you because you're a professional keeper." And that kind of falls on the Toronto defense there a little bit. But I mean, regardless, for Atlanta United to get a win like that, it raises the vibes and everything. And the
game is game.
Game is game. Yeah, I mean, 6 wins to 6 wins on the record. And
so how do you see it going then? You back in the Revs? Or you back in Atlanta?
Yeah, I think this could be a draw. Honestly, it could be a draw. It could be an unexpected shootout here, or it could be a.
If they draw, AJ, are you happy with that?
I mean, on the road, I'm happy with a result. So it's but
in the midweek too, because they're gonna have to travel to Salt Lake on the next game.
Yeah, so. that's a good point. That's a good point.
Right, and so it's one of those. It's like, we do have Saba back as well, and so there is some firepower that has returned, and with the good vibes and momentum, it could go really either way. But I think it's like a 2-2 draw.
Yeah, I was gonna say 2-2 as well. Actually, believe it or not, I think both teams are capable of scoring in this one, or should I say, they're both capable of conceding goals. Yep. And I think we're gonna see it. I think it's gonna be on full display. I feel like Porter will still have the team revved up for this one, no pun intended. Despite not having Carl's heel, which I can't equate right now how many goals of the 9 in the last 5 are attributed directly to him. But you have to imagine, right, that he played a massive role in just the turnaround they made offensively a little bit. But I can see a 2-2. Riley, are you on that same boat, or you're picking a winner here?
Yeah, 2-2 does sound pretty fair, honestly. I mean, Hector's not here. I was gonna throw in a little tea crate thing, but it's not worthwhile. 2-2 seems fair to me. Atlanta with how many players they've lost, not even due to injury, but just the transfers and stuff. Like, it's just they're in a really weird spot. New England's in a weird spot. I think 2-2 draw seems fair.
Yeah, I kind of do too. And if this was at the Mercedes-Benz, I would be backing Atlanta through and through. I just think, away, you have to feel like they're going to bounce back or revert back maybe a little bit to what we know them to be on the road. I don't know if it happens this week, but I think we may get an inkling of it, right? whether they net the game winner or the Revs do, or sorry, the equalizer or the Revs do, I can kind of see it going 2-2. Davi, did you pick a winner, or are you sticking with draw?
I think I'm sticking with draw, but I think it could either go a fun shootout like 2-2, 3-3 draw, or it could just be a snooze fest. It could be a 0-0.
Unfortunately, AJ. Unfortunately, yeah, I think it could happen. We'll see. We'll find out. AJ, look, you guys are still in a playoff spot. I mean, it's not the end of the world for Atlanta United fans. There's, it's still mixy. We'll see what happens. It's a very tough Eastern Conference, so I understand the hesitance to outright back it, but
because that's the thing. It's this, yeah. It's like if it was still Pineda and we're in 9th, yeah, we're doing nothing in the playoffs because it's just on the road. It's just anemic. But Valentino, he's a lot more pragmatic. He's I've been saying this as a very tongue in cheek, but he's a poor man's very light version of Carlo Ancelotti, where he's
wow,
extremely light.
Emphasize the light.
Yes, but
he's got the eyebrow trait, huh?
yeah, right. But it's this. He knows what he needs to do in terms of the squad. Emphasize the best traits of your players, and so that at the very least I can get behind, because the issues in our squad building and cohesiveness, that's been a large part of our problems. And then, you have a coach right now that can utilize that. Okay. Yeah. That's what we need. And, I think there is some of that promise that he can bring on the road for getting results. So hopefully it continues to be the case.
Yeah, and you know what I mean? It's not even a terrible shot when you think about just the concept of what you're trying to drive home, right? The pragmatic nature of how he sets up for games and is solely seeking the result, and will do whatever it takes tactics-wise to make sure he gives his team the best chance. So the eyebrow thing would be pretty dope if he could do it, but I think outside of that, right? I get what I smell what you were stepping in a little bit, so to speak.
Hey, there you go, Deadpool reference. I love it.
Yeah, so I like this. I think a draw wouldn't be the end of the world for Atlanta United. It would still keep them unbeaten under the new manager. We'll see how it all goes, but I think we're backing this one to be either a snooze fest draw or a very interesting goal-filled draw. We'll find out. All right, moving over to the West, St. Louis City hosting the Quakes. Two teams who have, I don't know if we can say leveled up in the manager position, but have definitely dropped off some dead weight a little bit. And Carnell being the most recent of that. His firing was, I think, a very surprising move. I think just given the track record he's had with St. Louis, we'll let Riley talk about it here in a second, but the track record he's had, what he's done with what he's been given. Yes, this has been a very, very rocky start to the season, but still in a position to make up ground if they can figure out how to put these pieces together, especially the new signings that are coming in this summer. And so, with St. Louis City, again, 19 points, 12th in the West, nothing to scoff at. The loss to Vancouver was heartbreaking, of course. And then you have San Jose, right? Letting go of Luchi Gonzalez. Davi called it on this show right before it happened. 14th in the West, just down bad, bro. Getting absolutely smacked in the Cali Clasico. And now, two teams that are in, not similar positions point-wise, but just solely in the standings, on the table, pretty close together, in similar positions being in that transitionary period, with new managers. Let's talk about St. Louis a little bit, Riley. How do you feel? I know you've already talked about it a little bit on your show, Soul of the City, but how do you feel about Carnell moving on or being moved on? Do you agree with it? And maybe give us a little bit of a taste of who you think should replace him.
Yeah, man. I mean, let me just start it off by saying I think some of the talking heads in MLS just are so incredibly complacent. And I think I related a lot with Sporting Kansas City. I was watching a lot of what their media people were saying. And I think, if anything, they're kind of jealous of our, look forward, not look to the past attitude. And they're stuck with Vermes. They can't get him out of the club for anything. And so I think there's a little bit of jealousy there. Honestly, the timing of the sacking is what surprised me the most. I kind of figured he was on the hot seat considering where St. Louis has been since Leagues Cup, since September of last year. It's been, I think I saw a stat that was 8 wins in 40 games since Leagues Cup last year, which is abysmal. It's terrible. And I think the Vancouver loss, while we were down really bad with injuries, I think a lot can be attributed to kind of Carnell's management of some of the players. I know that with one of our staple center backs, Joachim Nilsson, he's been injured on and off for years, and I felt like his injury honestly was mismanaged pretty poorly. But the timing of it really is surprising. We've got 3 new players coming in for the summer transfer window, 3 really exciting players, I would add. And I was expecting Carnell to be given the reins to say, okay, here's your fresh start. You got some juice injected into the club. Go out there and get it done. But Instead, we've decided to go with our interim head coach, John Hackworth, who, you know, we're at this point now. There's no expectations for Hackworth. Obviously, Lutz is shopping around the manager market. He's honestly, he doesn't have that impressive of a track record. He had some time with Philadelphia Union, and then he actually won the USL with Louisville. I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago now. Sure. Interesting coach who's been in the U.S. system for a long time. I'm excited to see what he can do with a squad he already knows a lot about. In terms of where we're going to look for the next coach, I mean, this Lutz Pfannenstiel guy, his Rolodex is so thick, I have no clue where in the hell he's going to pull a name. It seems like he's going to pull a name out of a hat of somebody we just have no idea. My personal short list, I think one that's interesting is Klinsmann. You know, our interim coach, John Hackworth, worked under him for U15 and U17 U.S. men's national team while Klinsmann was coaching there. I think there's probably a bit of a relationship there. Obviously, his club record is kind of mediocre. Klinsmann and the South Korea situation really did not pan out well for him. But I don't think he ever wanted to be in South Korea. And, you know, he's a German coach. Lutz is a German guy, and we're running a German ball club here. And that's what I love most, is that we're not afraid to sack our manager if things aren't going bad, which is not, it's not the same across MLS.
Facts, big facts. There's
or
a lot of,
or U.S. soccer for that point.
Yeah,
true. Yeah, I will say that so many clubs globally, not so many, like it's everywhere, but there are definitely more than a few where I don't know if it's just like nepotism, but it's just like the fear of change and like maybe they're then feeling like there's not a suitable replacement in the market. But I do think in this scenario that is the case. Klinsmann would actually be very, very interesting because I do agree that St. Louis has this Bundesliga mentality where I think finding the right piece is way more important than the name that you bring in. They kind of have to be a cog in the wheel, so to speak, and just kind of fit right in and be able to offer value to what's being built there as an expansion side. So if Klinsmann were to come to MLS, that would draw significant headlines. I think that would be a massive move for the club that, I mean, who knows, right? It could go one of two ways. It could go South Korea or it could go U.S. men's national team. I mean, we don't really know, right? But we'll find out. I think that would be a crazy signing if it did all pan out. Now, talking about this game, I think new manager bounce should hopefully take over. But this is a weird scenario where there's a little bit of that on, I don't want to say there's that on San Jose's side because they've been taking L's for I don't know how long now. But should there be? Should we see some of that from San Jose, or should we expect more of the same, Riley? Are you thinking that this is going to be that new manager bounce more so for St. Louis?
I think definitely. And one thing that's really excited me has been Sam Adeniran returning to training. That was a big saga with Carnell, was him and Adeniran. He obviously wasn't with the team for 3 weeks, and Klaus is now out injured for probably 6 weeks. So I'm excited by the prospect of this interim coach. I think we're going to beat the fucking brakes off of the Quakes. Truthfully.
Yes, sir. What's the score?
I'm going to say 3-0.
Woo! I like that. Pulling a little galaxy on them. We'll find out.
We're going to cook.
Absolutely. AJ, how do you see it going? Right, I know you're an East guy, but how do you see this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting. I mean, you know, all that's going on between the two clubs. And, I mean, Quakes, they just hemorrhage goals just, you know, left and right. But St. Louis City, I mean, it is, I don't know. I mean, it's a little bit of both. You know, there might be a kind of new head coach bounce or interim head coach bounce for all of that. And I think I see a little bit more of a shootout. I think I see a 4-3 for St. Louis.
That would actually be crazy. A 7-goal thriller? Sign me up, bro. Davi, how do you see it?
I mean, it could happen because they have attacking talent.
They do.
San Jose, but
Espinosa's ranked second in the entire league in chances created.
It's the defense that lets them down. It's the defense that I think they've conceded. There's according to one Fought Mob, it's 54 goals. Yeah, that's the worst defense in the league. So
they've also, you know what's weird about that stat too is that like they've also conceded like the most PKs this season, which is like what a way to kick somebody while they're fucking down. Not only the most chances in general, but just even penalty kicks, bro. They can't get you a fucking break. So Davi, you're back in St. Louis too, I take it.
This is either a St. Louis win or a boring draw. But I'm going St. Louis convincing. I think 2-0. 2-0 St. Louis. I'm
actually right there with you, bro. I think a 2-goal spread, but I think it's gonna be 3-1. Like I could see Espinosa like creating something out of nothing because he's just that guy. I'm really surprised he hasn't tried to force a move somewhere because that dude's too valuable to be on this team. Like San Jose is actually like middle of the pack in goals scored per 90. Like they're not bad offensively. They're just absolutely atrocious on the defensive side of the ball. Like it's It's terrible. And St. Louis need this dub. They are so overdue for a win. It's insane. Having not won a match in like the last 9 attempts or something. So I'm gonna back St. Louis. I think it's 3-1. I think it's comprehensive. San Jose gets something, to call it consolation. In light of the Luchi Gonzalez firing, but nothing to hang their hats on. I think this should be a St. Louis win through and through. So if it ends up being a draw, another draw, right? An 11th draw of the season, Riley just might hang it up, man. I don't know what's going to happen.
I won't hang it up. I won't hang it up. I'm going to be real sad at my house, but I'm not hanging anything up. I'll tell you that.
Fair enough.
And I have to touch on one more thing. I know why Kevin Cho struggles to cover Sporting Kansas City. It's because the talking heads in Kansas City are just some of the most mediocre soccer fans that I've ever. Some of them were saying that St. Louis were going to be unable to find a coach who can high press. Really? That's your take? We can't find a coach who can high press? You could have any fucking coach do that. What kind of take is that?
Yeah.
So I get Kevin Cho. I understand, man. It's okay. Come to St. Louis, bro.
Yeah.
They'll just hire some guy from Red Bull. They'll just hire some guy from Red Bull and do it better than Red Bull. They honestly, when this team played really well, they did it better than Red Bull.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I agree. That's a really odd take to be like, oh, like of all the things a team cannot do, I could see them, someone saying they can't play out of a high press. Like, yeah, that's difficult to do. That's very difficult to do. But I mean, showing a team how to high press from the front. I mean, yeah, it's just the modern age of the game.
Takes coming out of Kansas City.
Yeah, but either way, I do think that you guys get a much needed bounce back game, and it's probably coming at a perfect time considering the recent news. So we'll see what happens. And then finally on July 4th, the prime time game, the last game of the evening. El Tráfico, man. One that everybody's looking forward to. Probably has more hype, if it's possible, than recent seasons, just because of where these two teams are. The top two dogs in the West, 40 points apiece, both coming off of 3-0 wins last week, man. I mean, you really couldn't ask for more parity going into a juicy matchup, and we are getting it sitting in the front row, basically, for all fans to see. I can't wait for this one. I think we'll start with Davi and kind of work our way up from here. Davi, man, this one's I kind of wish we had Honda on for this one, but it is what it is. A juicy matchup in the LA sides. I think this was going to be at the Rose Bowl, right? Or did they not get that for 4th of July?
They're running it back at the Rose Bowl.
Bro, it's going to be so good. How do you see it going?
Oh, another 80,000 is going to pop up, but I mean, it might have a little bit of a conflict because Argentina play kind of at the same time. It kind of overlaps with Argentina, but I still think you find enough Galaxy and LAFC fans to come out to that game. 4th of July, and vibes are high. It's America, fuck yeah, right? So Ricky Puig is back. That's big for the Galaxy. They just went up to San Jose and cooked them, but I mean, started to San Jose.
Did you guys hear what Puig had to say, by the way, in the press conference? I think it was today, if not yesterday.
No, what did he say?
He basically, I don't know if he's hearing that everyone's just back in LAFC for this game because of the run of form that they're on, but he kind of just said that like fans need to respect the Galaxy more, that they're not getting enough respect because of like recent seasons or whatever, but that they're here, and I think I don't know if he's going to come into this game with a chip on his shoulder. I think there's been a lot of chatter about how well this team has played without him. And I think it's like, nah, man, I'm the fucking guy. Like, we're going to be here for this game. We're going to do what we did last season, despite all the chatter, despite how good LAFC was. I don't know, man. I'm so locked in for this game. Sorry, Davi. I want to point that out because I think that I saw that presser and I wanted to kind of, for those who didn't see it, point that out. But how do you see it going?
I think the same result from last year happens again. I think we see another 2-1 Galaxy.
Ooh, man, that would be a wild result heading into the rest of July and eventually Leagues Cup. AJ, do you agree?
I don't agree, but it is definitely, it's the marquee matchup for sure this holiday. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, Puig saying that, it's also, you guys haven't done anything. It's like, okay, sure, you're second in the West, but nothing literally has happened yet. There are no trophies. Nothing has happened. So it's still, the team that has won recently, the team that is the top dog at the moment, and even if it's just marginal, I mean, I think there's a little bit of a psychological edge too in that. And I mean, this is probably going to be the most exciting since Zlatan and Vela, together, playing against each other. So it's just like, I think there's a lot of goals. I think it's going to be highly entertaining. I don't think it's going to be LA Galaxy though. I think it's going to be 3-2 LAFC.
So you see a clean sweep this season for LAFC, considering they won the first one.
I think so.
Oh, wow. That's going to be very interesting. If that happens, man, the 3-2-5-2 is going to be out on the timeline in full force, man. They're not going to let Galaxy fans forget about that shit. Riley, how do you see it?
Man, I just can't believe here we're talking about two crybaby dive bot teams in first and second in the West, man. It's really sickening that this is what our sport has come to. I mean, honestly, looking at both of these teams, obviously they're both filled with a ton of talent and both are, I mean, they're sitting at the top of the West for a reason. I want to look at this more culturally, okay? On Twitter, LAFC fans were complaining, oh, the Galaxy are giving away tickets for free. Oh, they're trying to build a home field advantage. I think that is such a dog shit take. I think we should be trying to fill the Rose Bowl for such a monumentous matchup. And for that specific reason, I'm taking the Galaxy. Give me 3-2 the opposite direction as AJ.
Woo, I like that spicy take, man.
I tell you what, if this happened in New York and we were playing the Red Bulls at MetLife Stadium, they were giving away tickets for free, we'd be laughing at them. Honestly, bro. We wouldn't be crying. We'd be laughing at them.
I mean, true, but you take any opportunity to laugh at your rivals, right? Like that's just like another thing that you can pick out.
We have a star in our chest and they don't.
Yeah, well, yeah, that too. But I think that, I won't say it's the same case here, right? Because Galaxy do have the historical track record on their side, despite how long they've been in MLS versus LAFC. But with that said,
not only that, they've also historically been better against LAFC.
Yeah, true. And despite how poor they've been in recent seasons, they found a way to get these dubs, which is kind of ironic, just considering how good they are this season. Could not get the first result, which is why I think we've been accused on this show of favoring the Galaxy. If you guys go back and read the comments of the previous video, the last monthly rankings tier list, if you haven't checked it out, go check that out. But we got accused, I think, of just kind of not dragging LAFC, but favoring LA Galaxy a little bit more. Like there's some bias here. There's no bias, but for those haters in chat, I am backing the fucking Galaxy through and through in this one. I don't know why there's going to be a chip on their shoulder. I think Pooj's going to come, and I don't know if he's going to just ball on this one, considering he's coming off of an injury and hasn't played a full 90 in about a month or so. But I do think he's going to be motivated to get up for this one. I think LAFC in crazy rampant form, probably one of the most informed teams in all of MLS at this very moment, outside of maybe Inter Miami. And so they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. The 3-2-5-2 will be there in full effect. But I think it's going to be a banger, man. 3-2 is probably an accurate scoreline for this one. It's typically 2-1 between these two teams, but I got a feeling there's going to be goals. A lot of goals in this one. I could see 3-2. And even the top scorers, man, Joveljic and Bouanga, they're split by a goal. Joveljic has 12, Bouanga has 13. Like, you could not ask for just, like, the parity that we're getting between the two top dogs in the West. I'm so excited for this one, man. It's going to be good. So again, kind of starting the same way that we started the first preview in this video. AJ is kind of the black sheep for this one, but he might get it right. The rest of us just want to see LA Galaxy, kind of lower the ego of LAFC fans a little bit, humble them a little bit. You know what I mean? I'm all about that. We'll see what happens. But that's it, lads. That is our last in-depth preview for the matches, the midweek matches on Wednesday and Thursday this week for Matchday 24. Let's go ahead and jump into some quick-fire predictions, and then we will get out of here. All right? So let's line them up. Columbus hosting Nashville.
Columbus,
Columbus dub.
Against the Revs, let's see it against Nashville.
4-0. 4-0, run it back.
4-0, run it back.
I don't think there's that many goals in this. 2-0, probably.
I'm going to say 3-1. 3-1 Columbus. I think Nancy's men will be up for this one. But which, by the way, before we move on, did anybody see? I thought this was really dope. There was an interview for the Vamos pod that Hercules Gomez did with Wilfred Nancy. And a lot of the inspiration for Nancy's play, could you guess where this comes from? Like what coach?
Thierry Henry.
No, not Klinsmann. No. Say Klinsmann. No. Riley, just a guess?
I would guess Pep, maybe.
No. Believe it or not, Ricardo Lavolpe.
Oh,
the old Mexican national team manager from back in the day during some of the glory days and golden generation for Mexico. I thought that was so interesting, man, because
that's incredibly random.
It is. It's so random, but like I saw the like him just talking about the inspiration for how he sets up and some of the dynamism he introduces to the team. And man, it makes me a little bit proud as a Mexican American. That's all I'm going to say.
How the hell were we supposed to guess that? That's impossible to guess.
Hey, man, it's on the timeline. It's on the timeline. Why don't you lock in, Riley? Lock the phone.
All right, my bad.
All right, DC hosting Cincinnati.
Cincy.
You know what? It's kind of a trap game.
Call, yeah.
And here's the thing: for those who didn't watch Cincinnati play against Dallas, the game was 1-0 Cincy, but Dallas outshot them by like 10. Like if Dallas was just clinical, that game could have actually gotten out of hand the way it went. But Cincy defensively like found a way to get it done. So it's I don't know. Like, is Benteke back for this one? I don't know. I think we have to find that out. But I feel like this is a trap game a little bit. Like I was really hesitant to pick a winner in this one.
But the Holman will be missing the match because he got a red in the last game.
Yeah. I'm gonna go 1-1.
Yeah, it looks he's not on the injury list, so it looks like he's back.
Yeah, he plays 66 minutes against. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So
give me 1-1 as well. Give me 1-1 as well.
I'm taking Cincy 1-0.
Ooh, that's a good one.
2-1 Cincy. Benteke gets on the board.
I like that. Toronto hosting Orlando. They just watched Toronto, so
I know, right? Exactly. And they really, honestly, didn't play that bad. I think, they lack some composure in front of goal as well, like we did. But Orlando is just they're down. They're down bad.
But they're almost better on the road, won't you say? Like it
is true. It is true. But Toronto are pretty good at home, and it's
going into the last game. They're like 3-3-3.
Yeah.
Before NYCFC, they were like 3-3-3.
Huh. I might go 2-2 on this one.
I don't see a lot of goals in this. I think it's 1-1. I think it's Toronto still can't probably. They have probably some of this a little hangover from the haunts of Saturday. So I don't think
that's a terrible way to concede.
I'm going to continue my agenda. I think Nick Cushing broke him.
Oh, okay, bro. Okay.
Well, 1-0 Orlando.
Nick Cushing almost broke his own role, if we're being honest. Yeah, he was almost out of there.
Yeah.
Riley, how do you see this one?
Give me 2-1 Toronto.
It's hard to go from Florida to Canada. I think the only reason I give Toronto like a little bit of credit to score multiple goals in this game, and I think Orlando will find a way to match it. That was my only logic for 2-2. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Chicago hosting Philadelphia, and this to me is trap game potential, bro. If you're a Philly Union fan, you were actually worried about this game. You were actually staying up because you can't. You're losing sleep at the thought of losing to bottom of the East Chicago Fire.
Yeah.
This is a stinker, fam. This is a stinker.
I'm back in the Fire 2-1. Give me Chicago, bro.
Wow.
Give me Chicago, bro.
Yeah,
I'm there. I'm for it.
I think it's 2-0 Philly, but it's no one's watching this game.
Maybe.
1-0 Chicago. Goofy goal.
Goofy goal's probably right. Riley,
give me 1-1. It'll be a draw in Chicago.
Yeah, I don't know how people are watching this game, but how hilarious would it be if Jim Curtin goes down in Chicago, bro? I'd fucking lose it, bro, in the best way possible. Minnesota hosting Vancouver.
I like this matchup.
I'll be honest.
Really?
It just depends on what version these teams show up, man. Like, 'cause Minnesota's in a weird spot without some of their goal scorers right now, and it's like Vancouver had a hot start. They've cooled off a little bit since then.
But I mean, to be fair, they have put up fights in a couple of these games.
Yeah, I mean, look, the last game, like the 7-goal thriller against St. Louis, yes, 1,000%. It was at home.
That was predictable. That was predictable as hell. I saw that from a mile away. We were going to lose that even 2-0 up. I just knew it was just atrocious. I want Vancouver 2-1.
Wow, a road upset. All right, yeah. Vancouver 2-1.
I think it's 2-2.
Give me Minnesota 3-2.
You know what's crazy? I was gonna say the exact same thing. Give me Minnesota 3-2. I think it's gonna be a crazy game. I back the Allianz to have some kind of an effect for this. I think Minnesota's fans get up for this game. We'll see what happens. Salt Lake hosting Houston.
Salt Lake 2-0.
Is Chicho Rango back?
I think he's back.
Yeah, he's back. Yeah,
I think he's back. Yeah, because he couldn't get along with that injury. It was just
Chicho had a 3-0.
Wow, 3-0 on Houston, who's actually been pretty decent defensively this season. I'm gonna say Houston's scoring goals a little bit now too. I hate this matchup. I'm gonna say 2-1 Salt Lake.
Agreed. Yeah, 2-1.
Yeah. I don't know. They've been scoring goals, but I still don't back Houston offensively. They're in a weird spot until that forward that they just signed starts getting going. I don't really rate them that much moving forward. Dallas hosting Portland. You guys already know what I'm doing, so it's gonna be Dallas 2-1.
I'm smelling a 2-2 draw here. I'm not gonna lie.
You know what, bro? I respect the take. Portland is good moving forward. I just think it is okay. So it is 9 p.m. in Texas right now. It is still 95 degrees. So I think the Texas heat is going to be immense, and I think that's what gave us the edge over Cincy a little bit. We couldn't convert our chances. That is what it is. But keep in mind, Ferreira did not start, and Musa did not start in that Cincy game. So, and Ferreira's out for a couple more weeks, but Musa will be back for this one. That's why I'm backing it 2-1.
I hate Phil Neville, so just give me Dallas.
Yes, I'm with that agenda.
Yeah,
Bandwagon.
I told him shut up, you cunt, and Instagram immediately took my comment down.
I can see why. AJ, who do you back?
I think it's 3-3. I think there's a lot of goals. I think it's just why not? Right for
why
it.
not? Yeah, why not? Man, if we first off, if we draw 3-3 and it happens in similar fashion to Real Salt Lake, you guys won't hear from me for like about a week. It's gonna be fucking pitiful.
That's fair.
But like I don't know, man. I think this new manager bounce, I'm loving it. And what the best part about that Cincy game was we went back to our roots. We started like at least 2 homegrown products in that game. And it felt like vintage FC Dallas a little bit. We're kind of relying on guys like Tarek Scott, on guys like Nolan Norris, who most fans don't know who the hell those players are. But that's our identity, right? Is kind of promoting from within. So hopefully we get more of the same in this game. We'll find out. And then finally, to close it out, Colorado hosting Sporting Kansas City.
Colorado 3-0.
Bro, I'm not even allowed to say the exact same shit. I think it's gonna be like 3-0. Yeah. Maybe they get a goal, but in Colorado, I think the Rapids take this.
I mean, that doesn't sound like bias at all, really. But yeah,
it's the truth, man. It's the truth. This is unbiased this time.
Yeah. I think it's 2-1 Colorado though. Yeah,
it'll be a good game. It'll be a good game, I think.
Yeah,
3-0 Pits. 3-0 Pits.
3-0, 3-0, 3. What'd you say? It was 2-1 and 3-1. So yeah.
The agenda is functioning.
The agenda. It's not even an agenda at this point. Kansas City.
Yeah,
it's insane that they were able to. Which, by the way, it just lets you know the state of Austin FC at the moment. The 2-0 win that Kansas City got to kind of break the duck a little bit. Man, they're missing some of their key players, and they're a little bit down bad right now too. But...
I mean, lucky for Kavincha, the Argentina game starts half hour before that one, so he'll be watching that anyway.
He'll have something to
do. Yeah, Copa America still in full effect, so he has a reason to be happy right now. But anyway, that is our predictions video for Match Day 24. If you have not done so already, do me a favor, like the video down below, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't checked it out, last week's video, our monthly rankings tier list. We ranked every one of the 29 MLS franchises based on where they are, current form against the run of regular season play. Go check it out. Let us know what you think down below. And hey, if you disagree with any of our picks for tonight, let us know in the comments. We're down to have the argument with you, have the debate with you all day, every day. But that is it for our show today. So for everybody here at Up MLS, my name is Jose. That's AJ. That's Riley. That's Davi. We'll catch you guys next time.